And there we go. Hey, everybody. This is Peter Robbins, uh, infamous author extraordinaire from Armchair Dragoons with with game designer Luke Hughes.
Yeah, Luke Hughes, victim apparently of infamous writer.
I'm the Barbara Walters of wargaming.
Very good.
You will cry. You will
Oh,
cry
very
by the end
good.
of this.
After I confess my deep reasons, I really did it. Okay.
Right. It's either me or Donahue. Which one do you want? Yeah, we're here to talk about Burden of Command. I think a good amount of the community probably either owns it or has played it. There was a demo of it, right? Is that right?
Yeah, there was.
All right, yeah. A very my immediate reaction to it is it's very unique, and I use that in a positive term. Has very I what strikes me as its positives from my perspective from a board gamer slash computer gamer. I like its sequencing. I like its stratum of officers. You don't see that very much in a computer game in
Command and
particular.
control. Yeah.
Yeah. I had to get used to the sequencing just a little bit, but as soon as as soon as you kind of dig into it and just play it, really, ultimately, it makes sense. Everything cost orders. I like the activation aspect of it. I like the aspect of the captain, the second tier command having can kind of help in any of the sub phases, which is kind of unique. It's pretty unique. Yeah, I think it plays out well. And then, like one of the, interestingly enough, it reminded me. I think you even mentioned it. It reminded me of XCOM a little bit, right?
Good.
Like just
Yes,
as
that was
far
really good.
um as far as how it interceding role playing aspect, isometric aspect, but not, but still similar to advanced squad leader mechanics. So
Yep.
it's very interesting. It's a very interesting combination. So let's roll back to before we get into it, we're gonna jump into one of the scenarios from the latest Three Nations DLC, and that was released approximately a month ago. Is that right? A few
About
weeks
2 months
ago.
ago, yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's doing well.
Yeah.
And
Doing better than
the
we expected.
very good. But Three Nations, it dives into primarily paratrooper operations in Overlord, but it goes beyond that too, right? I haven't gotten all the way through it.
You get German mechanized, U.S. paratroopers, UK paratroopers, and French civilian mother deciding whether or not to help the resistance.
Right. The usual.
The usual.
Yeah, but that's I call that out as a positive. I think that's definitely one thing that you get across in the game, in the core game itself, is the surprise element, right? The fact that you're interjecting role playing into the phasing, into the scenario build out. It's very interesting, and it's apropos to the chaos of warfare, right?
Yeah, some people
Um,
have called it a Band of Brothers meets Squad Leader.
that's a great way to put it. Very good. I've seen a wide variety of opinion on this game, which I might write about a little bit. I might show people some of that wide opinion because I think it deserves. Its uniqueness can it.
Of course.
My main appeal is give it a chance, right? I think I'm entering it late in the game, late to the party, so I kind of knew what I was getting into, I think that helped just as far as knowing exactly how
Yeah.
much of a tutorial there was, etc. I think I just knew it, and then just kind of knowing that there was a certain amount of that, it wasn't as potentially jarring. I guess maybe when they originally played it, it was a little jarring.
Yeah, statistically,
But purposeful. Yeah.
we were rated very positive in Steam, 83%. But what I think it's telling is we get most of our critical reviews in the first 3 hours or less. Essentially, hey, what's with this mandatory tutorial boot camp? I mean, who wants a mandatory boot camp? I don't blame them. But I will say that after 3 hours, if you go pull the slider on Steam, it goes to 90%, which is overwhelmingly positive in Steam ratings. So that's the gist of it, right? Which is there is a learning curve. There's probably a little bit too long boot camp. And if I were doing it again, there are many ways to do it better. But we were, it's our first time. We didn't feel it was necessary from a lot of playtesting. About 300, 400 people went through
Oh,
playtesting,
wow.
and we were getting high drop-off rates. So we insisted on various things like videos and graphs and so forth. But could it be done better? Of course it could have been done better. But I will say that you also read a lot of reviews say this: I almost quit 2 hours in. I almost quit, somewhere in there, but I stuck with it, and I'm
And I'm
so
glad
glad
I
I
did.
did. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
don't take
Absolutely.
my word for it. Go look. Drag the slider. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Absolutely. I thought we might just jump into the we'll start the scenario, but we won't get into it too quickly.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll jump into the field manual, just look at the things you must know. I think are very, first of all, I really like that. You really compress it is literally the things you must know. I love that because I can pretty much just go to those. If you understand the first 4 pages, and let's get in here and kind of,
It's an online encyclopedia
yeah. So that's
or
good.
in-game.
So this is, one question I had, on the, and just correct me, the Steam page shows 4 scenarios were included.
Well, you're looking at cotton balers right now. Click 3 nations. There you go. There are your 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we
All right.
weren't
Maybe I was
cheating
not.
you. You thought I'd
Yeah.
put a quick one on you. I'm not clever
No,
enough.
I don't know why I felt that. I don't know if that was opposite. Okay, I'm sorry. All right. So we'll just go into. Let's just do Pegasus
And I
Bridge.
will say, for your audience that's very board game focused, it's got squad leader influences on the command and control. Think Fields of Fire. It's also command points. You could think of Conflict of Heroes. We draw on a lot of the classic ambush. Some of you may remember that, classic traditions of board gaming, as well as things, as you alluded to, like XCOM, to try to make the interface more modern in its approach to how we do things. So it's a blend.
Beautiful artwork.
We have a artist, Mariusz Kozak. He's Polish. He does Total War art. We can't afford him, but he loves our projects, so he lets us afford him, right? And he does remarkable work.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know he was from the.
So which scenario did you pick here? Looks like you picked Myers Hill.
This is Pegasus
Bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let me get out of this. I'm just gonna get out of this because it's
You
playing my ear. All right, so as you can see, you usually get a lead in, you usually have a video.
Now, I'll warn you, this one is going to be primarily interactive fiction after a very brief amount of tactical. This is one where you end up with a French civilian mother. So you decide if you like that idea or not for the video today.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We'll dig a little bit more into the field manual, then
Okay.
We'll just kind of go through the tactical.
Oh, you're just trying to get to the manual right now. Go ahead then.
Just for now. Let's see. So you do need to fix things here. Okay.
So this is the attempt to say is Pegasus Bridge by British paratroopers at D-Day, vital to holding the eastern side of the D-Day sort of beachhead. And yeah, their whole book by the guy who wrote Band of Brothers wrote a book on Pegasus Bridge, which we drew on heavily.
I don't know if you is it Anthony Brever?
Not Anthony Beaver. No, thank you, dog. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. Take care.
Let me check. It was, I'm ashamed I'm forgetting it, Stephen Ambrose. And in fact, fun story, my father was a World War II vet and historian, and they were colleagues, young historians together. My dad did history of technology, and he did obviously military technology, but they were friends back in the day, I think at Johns Hopkins.
Oh, so, interesting. Very cool. Very good. Yeah, I was thinking though of Anthony Beaver's.
We read that.
It's called Overlord. That's a very good book too. All of his books are very good. Sorry to plug. I don't know him, but let's see. Signal to gather.
I don't think he'd mind.
Yeah.
You can just hit 1 all the way through if you're just trying to get to the encyclopedia. It won't matter in this context. It's laying out emotional context, characters, mission objectives, so forth. But I think you want to get to the encyclopedia, is my understanding.
Right, here we go.
You can see they've crash landed in their gliders.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look around.
It's a pretty simple situation. You've got 1 leader in a squad. Here we go.
All right, so we'll just we'll talk through this, and the orders, fuel, action, just to give you an idea what we're looking at, officer orders and squad orders. you're either clicking on the unit itself or the leader or both. By default, I can't remember if it's by default.
Would you like me to sort of explain the
Yeah,
command and
go
control?
ahead.
All right, the gist of it is, those of you who know Fields of Fire will recognize this, but you have platoons, 3 squads in a platoon. A lieutenant leads them, and lieutenant has to spend his orders as the green dots, think action points, we call them orders, to activate squad. Once he activates a squad, he uses his own orders to do things, move, shoot, etc. It has 2 early on, like an XCOM unit would, but over time, as it gains experience, it can go up to 3 orders, and the leader starts at 4, right? 3 to control, activate 3 squads, 1 to do something clever, you hope. And he can go up to 6 eventually. It becomes very sophisticated, becomes winners, right? So what you do in a given round is you activate a platoon of choice. You can't do everybody. Those of you who play war games with chit pull recognize that. You get a certain organization activated, and then they can do things. Now, there's a special unit, the captain, who's sort of your kingpin, your queen, so to speak. He can help anybody anywhere and glue different platoons together. He can activate any unit on the map. But normally, you got to think organizationally. I'm doing first platoon this turn. I'm doing second. When I do first platoon, when I finish my leader round, is it called? Well, the AI, the German, or whoever it is, gets their turn to do a leader round. And so you're having to make choices. Which organization's my priority right now? So if you want a game technology, there's an action economy. You give a certain limited number of action points. We call orders to units and leaders. And then leaders are your amplifiers. They can bolster a unit to make it more effective. They can help it with that lead assault. They can direct fire. They can press the unit to give it an extra order. I won't go into details, but what you think a leader would be, right? He's running around trying to direct action, motivate units, rally them in their mess. Anybody plays squad leader, etc., will get some feel for that, though some of our mechanics are different, and orchestrate moving his organization. And he could be heroic and run to the front with a squad, but then he's leaving the rest of his organization behind. You may remember there's a scene in Band of Brothers where, like, the major, I guess, stops winners when he wants to run out. Major winners is the major now. He wants to run out and lead the men. No, you don't play that role now, right? So you've got to decide, are you leading the men? You're hanging back to organize, because you go out there and get suppressed, which is a core mechanic, and your morale goes down. You can't do much. Your head's down. Your squads are down, and maybe you regret that. On the other hand, if you stick back and keep your ass out of fire, the men will notice, and this RPG thing called trust won't happen. So there's a lot of emotional things going on. My background was physiological psychology, meaning fancy way to say, how does our emotional nature work? And so, guys are scared of going out and getting shot or getting a bayonet in the stomach. You got to lead them, got to motivate them, but you also got to direct.
And the trust can be built over time by experience, correct?
Yeah, so think a little bit like Panzer General. There are 2 core attributes. There's experience, which, like Panzer General, increases your capacity. The units get fight better. They pass their morale checks better. They get more orders. Your leaders get more orders. But there's also something called trust, which is your leader becomes what it sounds like, right? The men start to believe that he's there for them. And I actually studied various papers in this that there are out there on how leaders earn trust, and it's not too shockingly surprising. Trust comes from, are you putting your ass on the line as opposed to just their ass on the line? So I give you trust points, like experience points, if your leader is up there with them directing fire. Another way you earn trust is, are you effective, right? So are you actually doing things that are increasing the chances of survival? So rather than decreasing, they're more subtle attributes, which you may not have experienced yet. Combat fatigue, which is what it sounds like. Over time, like a car with too many miles, evidence is that men wear down, soldiers wear down, and they start to break down and show PTSD off the battlefield, and what's called combat stress response on the battlefield, like weeping uncontrollably or not taking cover. And our squads and leaders will do that over time too. So there's those of you who love close combat, there's a heavy psychological model under this. I'm not saying it's right, but there's a lot of thought in it. And your leaders orchestrate. These human beings are in a field where people are trying to kill them. That's hard, right? And you don't want to die either. And then when you get fancy, there are RPG things called mindsets, which are like a skill tree where you can become zealous, like Lieutenant Spears and Band of Brothers. Or maybe you're by the book, right? And you can organize your men, but maybe you don't get quite as much oomph out of them as Spears like Zealous guy would. And those give you special actions. So that's the spirit of the RPG. Trust, experience, leadership mindsets. And then this heavily engaged interactive fiction around it. So decisions you're making on and off the battlefield through the fiction change what recon you get, change what reinforcements you get. Maybe rally men in a certain spot. Inversely, things are going on a battlefield like ambush. If you go to a certain spot, certain things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So again, a very good field manual. I did make a PDF of it. I'll share a link in the article that we put. I'll put a link to that as well as some other extra resources around. There are some tutorial videos and such I might link to too, just for resource sake. So let us see what we have here. Gives you the leader. There, at least at this point, there's only one leader, correct?
This is a very simplified situation. It's a very odd scenario. So you have to decide if you want to do this one because it's going to be
okay. If you want to,
if you want to get a little more conventional, I'd do a different scenario.
All right, that's fine.
And let's show off the new stuff. So go back to scenarios. You're in 3 nations. I'd pick Steel Rain. That's fun because it's Germans. That's different. Maybe if you want, I'll read some of the fiction for you and get a feel for that. Would you like that?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
All right. And this I think this one's an interesting one because we were working to decide what is the emotional tone in 1944 around D-Day for a German. This is not going to be gung-ho Nazis, stormtrooping everywhere. What would you feel like if, you probably know the war is a mess or lost. You're being asked to do things that aren't working out. The emotional tone might be a little bit of resignation. We got a lot of positive feedback on the tone. So this is a German mechanized assault, historically based on actually the Pegasus bridgehead. It's not strictly at the Pegasus Bridge, but nearby. And so let's watch a bit of this because this is unusual too. This is a German propaganda video around D-Day with some footage, which is unusual apparently, of they're seeing the ships coming in, so forth. But now we're in a different world, right? We're inside this bubble of National Socialism, and the pressures will be put on us. And it is inside a fascist regime. We had the German Review Board, which is very, very reluctant to have people play Germans in World War II, as you might imagine, approved us because they felt that we're very respectful and careful about the history and try to tell the history here. So let's get a little flavor here. The Defense of Normandy, 10th of June, 1944, Frankreich, Normandy. And these are historical pictures. You can get them colorized or not. The Defense of Normandy. The reek of cordite hangs thick as you contemplate the latest order from General Feuchting. I'm sorry for my German. Feuchting. My God, I suck. 125th Panzer Grenadier Regiment, 21st Panzer Division. Attack towards Benneville Bridge. Seize both span. Your men have don't click yet, by the way. Your men have another battle ahead, and you must lead them. Now, if you would put your mouse over the book icon on the right, most audience think we are insane to do this. I think your audience maybe not so much, but we put bookmarks in the game. So what's the historical context to this? Our hoped for ideal moments are you're playing along because this is all optional. You don't have to read this stuff. And you think, oh my God, really? I thought they were a serious game. This is so Hollywood. And then they mouse over and say, holy cow, that leader did stand up at the beach at D-Day and expose himself walking around. This isn't made up. So we try to be very grounded. We have a lot of vets involved. We have people who care passionately about history. I'm the son of a historian. I really, I can't. My dad would come down and talk to me if I didn't lie to be respectful. So
Atkinson's books are very good too.
Yes, we read. He was actually a significant influence. We tried to get him as a historian early on. That was a little challenging. We did get. We decided to do the Cotton Ballers for American. We got a very well-known military historian, John McManus. He read all our fiction. He gave us corrections. The buck still stops with us, but we had a professional historian. I've been on his channel being interviewed too, so you can check that out. Really look over so carefully. We've been on quite a few history channels. Check out the History Underground, World War II TV. We've been on a wonderful British one. We have ways of making you talk. That was in their Patreon, talking to James Holland, another historian. So we get a little more airtime with the history channels because they can see, maybe to a fault, we're trying to be respectful of the history. I know your audiences are all very expert, so I'm sure they've already found 6 things wrong. but we try to correct them when we hear about the 6 things wrong.
Yeah, I don't care about the button color, right?
Oh, people do.
The unfamous, the famous, the scene in 40-year-old version when he's painting the miniatures. Okay.
Oh, you got to get that right, or come on,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, come on.
All right, so
Okay,
you can move ahead.
there was
when you
another
want.
little thing here too after.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there you go. All right.
The defense, and like for instance, the camouflage jacket he's wearing there, and if he's SS or not is another topic. So, for instance, I won't go into today, but some people pinged us on that. But we have an answer. Nearby, Lieutenant Braun theatrically clears his throat while you study the simplified map of the roads and canals around Ranville. He knows the orders as well as you do, and no doubt he is of a similar mind. Well, hop on. Might a poor infantry commander render a comment or two? Now, this graphical here, driven, seems rather childlike, right? Graphic, not chance. So the vets in the project told us, that they would draw maps like this, and when they were in the field and so forth. Further, when we did the cotton balers, the U.S. guys, we found tons of maps like this in the we sent archivists in to get these. So one of our vets, Dutch Army member Hank Stoffers, who's a snare designer, he actually went and drew this map in the spirit of how they might have drawn it to put you in immersion, right? They'd be pulling out their piece of paper they've sketched their off the cuff, maybe fairly off the cuff plan for today. So what do you want to do here, Peter? This is precisely what we tried 3 days ago. Our last attack was broken up by Allied naval guns. We do the same thing and expect a different result. This doesn't sound too optimistic, does it? Now, I'll warn you here. If it doesn't have a mouse over, typically, it's more role-playing, deciding what kind of character you want to be, setting a certain tone. It's probably not going to change the tactical play too much. So just pick what feels right. Pretend you're that person.
All right.
I might wish this is simply a 3-day delayed message, Lieutenant Brown notes wanly as the silence stretches out. After 4 years of war, he's given up on miracles. But perhaps this time, though, this is a unit that's actually fought from the East Front to here. Perhaps this time the little bitch Monty will let us pass with but a wave. I'm not sure about that one. It'd be quite something if recent sea conditions had badly disrupted the Allied fleet. I'm sure some of your audience knows about, the harbors. God, just went on my name. The famous floating harbors. But
yes,
there's been a big storm. So these are not optimistic Nazis storming across Europe. These are guys like, God, maybe we can get lucky somehow. It hasn't worked so far. Perhaps Monty has forgotten some detail. Foktinger, I think that's General, signed this personally. Braun, your men will march in the morning. So how are you going to act here, Peter?
Let's see. I think I'm going to go 3.
Jawohl, Braun replies reflexively. They already know the way. So do you. So do the British. That, at least, is the truth of the matter and not some carefully crafted propagandist lie. So, plan the attack using the standard methodology. Plan the attack so we might prevent defeat. Plan to seize the initiative and hold it. I know this will be a battle. Now, these are actually picking mindsets, which we won't spend a lot of time on today unless you want. But basically, it's a narrative way to say, well, I'm this kind of leader. This is what I would say. And that implies a certain mindset. So why don't you pick one? Probably pick it off the mindset you like the idea of.
Yeah, I'm going to do the idealist.
All right.
And
I haven't given up on the cause yet.
Yeah.
Idealism. So on the left, that's what I alluded to. This is basically a thin little skill tree. As you become better at idealism, you get grandstand. Now, I can't resist this story. So I apologize for not remembering his name. There was a D-Day U.S. commander who knew it might be tough on the Omaha beach. And so he prepped a speech in advance. And sure enough, as you guys know, the Omaha beach was terrible. And so they're all lying on the beach. And he's walking around, this guy I was alluding to earlier, upright. This is historical. And a crazy thing to do on an open beach with German machine gun raking it and basically saying the men acting calm, but saying, the only men I see here are those the dead and those about to die. John McManus wrote a whole book on that, titled off that. And he basically did a grandstand. They all looked at him like, oh, my God, you're insane. But Jesus, if you're willing to stand up there, I guess I can take a risk. And he said, get off the beach. Right. And they got up and they got off the beach. So you can do this. You get this ability like everything's gone to hell. Right. Snafu, foobar. And you can stand up and rally everyone around you. But there's a 15% chance you will get shot down, which could be KIA, actually. So typically isn't, but it could be. And then there's just this pass ability, which you don't control. Inspire. Occasionally, if the officer attacks stacked with a friendly unit with fairly suppressed. They get a rally and restore an order, then bolster all for free. So basically get a freebie because they're like, oh my God, Peter's here. I think we can do this.
Select idealism. All right.
Now, different what we want to make a point of in the and just cut me off anytime, Peter, because I'll tend to get enthusiastically engaged, and you run it where you want.
You're fine. You're fine.
So one of the points of Three Nations was to convey to players the different national characteristics of the armies. So the Germans centered, as we understand it, their squad tactics from the beginning of the war around the MG42 as a fire base. They didn't conceive themselves really as a rifle squad. They conceived themselves as a machine gun base with maneuver elements. I'm sure we can have some fun debates, but I think that's fair. And MG42 was very impressive for its rate of fire, etc., and accuracy, depending on context. In fact, GIs typically were scared of two things primarily from the Germans: the MG42 when they heard it was around, and the 88. So here you have an unusual capacity to lay down firepower. Your squads can fire more than once, whereas a conventional rifle squad, like a U.S. cotton baler or a UK army, they didn't center as carefully, didn't have quite the technology. And so they fire once as a rifle squad, typically. They sort of uses them up, like an XCOM unit uses up its capacity to attack once it fires, once it attacks. So the Germans can put down a lot of fire with a high-quality weapon, and you should take advantage of that, right? That's a strength for you. So what do you want to pick here? We have fire superiority from a distance. Previous losses, this is important. We have only 2 platoons of infantry. The forest will force our panzers south. That will become clearer as the map opens up, which I think is about to happen.
I think I will.
Doesn't matter too much here. Okay, last thing. This is another very unusual thing. So early on, the vets I was working with emphasized, I said, oh, do you retreat? And they said, we never retreat, but we definitely withdraw. So most games, how's it work? You must take the objectives. I remember in Panzer General, right? If you don't take the objectives, you lose. You've got to start over, right? Many games are like that. It's hard to think of a game where it isn't seize the hills or kill all the enemy aliens or whatever the hell it is. But we wanted to make you a leader where you would think about keeping the men alive, not just taking the hill, because real leaders did. And not just for humanitarian reasons, though I hope they did. I think pretty clear winners did. Late war, you can see him things like not sending him over the canal again and lying about it that he had to save the men's lives. But no, he took the orders. But my point is very tricky because players are trained so, including me, trained so much to win the objective. So what we tried to give them, you got 2 things to win here, buddy. One is the mission here to secure all objectives. Another one is win with your men, suffer no more moderate casualties, so that maybe you're sitting there at a certain moment in the battle and you're thinking, I don't know if I can go any further without more casualties. And if I go any further, I'm going to lose the men victory condition. And so then I can be a winner by saving my men if I make a withdrawal decision, which is normally available to you after a certain level of casualties. And so we do get reviews saying, I never would withdraw, but I started to care about my men so much, and I wanted to do well on that condition. I would. But of course, if you favor the men too much, the higher-ups will have some opinions. You'll have some nasty interactive fiction ones about that. If you favor the higher-ups too much, Sergeant Grant, who's the voice of men, will come and have some conversations with you, and the men will look resentful and maybe not operate as well for you. It's a balance, right? It's the burden of command. Okay, machine guns and cannons possess a heavier punch, but up close, Englander are dangerous to their Bren guns and Piats. These are going to be British paratroopers you're fighting. A difficult attack, but you have your orders.
I'm just looking at your historical context here. All right, awesome. That was from Mitterrand. Okay, interesting. All right, here we go. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, just making sure.
So
all righty.
You're looking at a German mechanized assault. Now, this is not 68 Tiger tanks rolling over the British paratroop. This is something of a scratch force that was present at the time, a scouting force. It's got 2 tanks, self-propelled gun Stugs, one down south, one up north. If you could now scroll up, You can see scouting cars in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unfortunate. You know, they're fine. They've got machine guns, but it's not exactly the big tiger attack. And then you've got a very limited amount of infantry. And then maybe zoom out if you use your mouse wheel and go left. There. So you've got a big map to cover. The places where flags are objectives, zoom in. You can see secure the chateau. That's one of your objectives. And you've got a lot of open fields to cross and very little infantry. And I bet some of your players know normally you want to send the infantry forward first to secure things so you don't get surprised by Piats, but you got a limited number of infantry, right? Got your scout cars. So, and I bet the UK paratroopers are just waiting to surrender. They have no interest in making it difficult for you. So at this point, I'll shut up. Why don't you play the way you want, guide me, and I'll comment when you'd like.
Yeah, first thing I noticed is that this might have some cover, but let's see. I can't remember if it.
Let's talk about that. So if you left click as you're doing any hex, you instantly get line of sight of that hex. Do it again. So from that hex, that's both what it can see and any of those hexes can see it. So for instance, click on the chateau over there. Click it again. There you go. You can see it's a little trickier there, right? But you can see where it can see and where it can't see. So places it can't see, if you're worried about what's in there, that's good, right? Click one of your units. Then you can see what it can see.
Let's see.
There's a fancier line of sight tool. That you can see he's got very restricted here. He can barely see anywhere. The white highlighted or moves, and he can see a little bit past, but the combination of the hedges and the fields is cutting off his line of sight pretty early. Look, after you get past the hill, you can see again. So it's a pretty sophisticated 3D model, actually. So the downslope of that hill covered by fields, hard to see through all that wheat, basically. But if you look past it into the distance, the angle allows you to see out there.
Same vice versa, though.
Yeah. So. And everything's symmetrical.
So this is very open area.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. This is where I usually fail, which is the first move. Okay.
All the scenarios in this DLC are quite challenging. The Pegasus Bridge is probably the easiest, so you should expect things not.
So I did want to show the differences in how you click. So in the clicking, you're clicking on the individual. In many cases, you're stacked. In this case, they are not stacked right here, right?
Stacking is maximum of 1 leader and one combat unit.
And I can't tell.
So zoom in. And here, if you look to the left, you can see you have 1 unit selected. The organization, right? You have a squad selected, nobody else. And there's 2 ways to tell who he owns. The way you just did it, and he's with a squad, but you can see white circles around the other elements of his platoon. Those are his units he commands, and if you clicked on them, it would jump to them as well.
So if I do that,
so you can jump around from the thing on the left or directly on the map.
So does he have a unit under him? No.
Yes. Go back and click him again. You did. You clicked.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's what I was trying to do.
So each time you click, you change the selection. So the first time you get both. Click again. Now you just get the unit you're with, because maybe you want to move the leader on his own, not with the squad. Click again. Now you got both again. You could do the same thing with the squad and just select the squad or not. So basically, we're trying to give you an easy way to handle your stacks of units.
And you can do it over here. For me, for some reason, over here, it's a little easier on this side.
Yeah, it's up to you. That was one thing we found it was a little hard for people to learn, so we actually had to do some tutorializing around that, right? Stacking's a pain in the ass from a game design. It's much easier. We didn't allow any stacking. But we kept it pretty simple because we wanted to reach a broader audience than the grognards who would stacking.
But tell me what is the benefit of that, though?
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, if I had wanted clarity of design from a broader audience, and then we can argue about realism, I would have kept it 1 unit. So why didn't I? Because it's a leadership RPG. It would be pretty bizarre if the leaders couldn't move with the squad, rallying them, joining in the assault, directing their fire. Like squad leader, right? You've got to be able to have the leader with the squads. So I just had to do that. But if I put any more in there, it would become very cumbersome to see what's in there and to manage it, and it's hard enough with 2 units to manage it. Now, I'm not saying right decision, but I was trying to balance here, get across leadership of squads and units, but not make the stacking into a big mechanic.
So I did want to call out that we have the captain who can. The one thing that's a little confusing to me, I'll just be blunt, is just the phasing you're in.
The leadership rounds.
And I think it's because it isn't really a phase. It's whether or not the thing you've clicked on has orders left. But once you do something with them, they become the active leader for that round. Correct?
All right. So the moment you do anything with a platoon, that platoon is active. And the way I think we like to characterize it is a leadership round. That leader is active.
Right.
He can do things with his platoon and no one else. The captain is an exception to that.
And he doesn't have to expend it all either. That's another.
That's important to understand. People feel like they have to burn it all up. They don't. You can just say, all I want to do is take this platoon and move the machine gun forward. Move the machine gun forward. You can't move any other platoon now, except with the captain. I'll stop saying that. But you don't have to do any more. You can say, well, I want to wait and see what the enemy does and how a situation develops. Once you activate a unit, a little bit, I think like Fields of Fire does that. Once you activate a unit, it can just move on its own, right? You say, look, I want you to go out there and take the hills. You're up, first squad. And then they can do their thing from there on once you've got them going. But you've got to get them going.
These guys are extremely... I just wanted to point out that, first of all, you have really very good mouse overs. I'm just realizing that as well. But
right click on one of them.
Oh, right click on one of these?
Yeah.
Oh, holy moly.
Yeah, look at that.
All right. Sorry.
So you can see what his particular, he has some special abilities, cunning. You get a nice view of his, he doesn't have any nose. So but that shows you all the mindsets. Your own leader, when you're playing the cotton balers, you can build up your personal profile as well as your lieutenants, what they get. Click on one squad, not a leader, like the mechanized or something. I don't care. Right click.
There you go.
Sorry, right click on the portrait. You can see it on the left. There you go. Right? Just nice and get a finer view.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what the symbol on the top, it's platoon organization, which is the third way to try to understand your organizations, right? Since this isn't a natural act.
Visually, right? Like right here, so you can see that whole.
Exactly. Right. And you can see that on the map too.
Very good. I'm kind of glad that I'm a green player of this because I think I'm probably playing this as well as most newcomers to the game because I am.
No, this makes your questions better for your audience, right?
But then I just want to. So let's talk support units, though. Of course. Yeah. Is there? And again, this is a naivete question, but is there any automatic support? Like, in other words, will a nearby support quotation mark unit, like I'm an MG, will it automatically, like in a Panzer General 2 sense, will it automatically help, or any like an artillery unit that's nearby?
That's a good question. No one's asked that one before. No, they don't. Okay, there's a little bit of that, not too much. That's an interesting question. I didn't even think about that one too much on designing. It's an interesting point. Okay, where do units operate independently of your command, so to speak? So one is if you have a leader with a unit and he has an appropriate opportunity to guide the fire of his unit, will. Let me make that more concrete. So let's click the guy on the hedges right there. One to your southwest. Any of those guys, right? Actually, go to the northern guy. Right there. All right, so this is a leader stacked with a squad. We're an enemy British troop, which they're not going to charge you or something, which they could in some scenarios, right?
Right.
And there was an op fire. Anybody who plays tactical board games will know about that. Op fire opportunity. The leader of his own initiative, if he has an order, will bolster the squad to make them fire more effectively. So that's an example where the leadership acts autonomously from your ordering them to help the squad. But similarly, if they're assaulted, they'll support their men that way.
Only if it has orders left.
Right. This is one of the problems we have for players with this DLC, which is they played Cotton Balers, which is 90% attack, because the US was kind of 90% attack.
Right.
But what they would do things like you move up next to. Here's the thing we see with players: if they don't understand, they need to save an order for op fire, right? So they move up near a German squad, especially since we improved the AI, which we did for this DLC, and they think, I'll assault them next turn, and they're out of orders. Well, the Germans are like, I'm not going to sit here and get killed. I'm going to kill you first. So they fire at you, and then they charge you, and you don't have any orders. So you're not going to op fire them when they assault you. You're like, holy crap, I wish I'd kept an order, but you didn't realize that, right? So when you play defensively, you've got to learn. There's a very defensive scenario called Benneville, where you're the British paratroopers defending against an attack like this. You've got to be really careful about preserving
And
order.
is it only one order to do?
Well, each
Okay.
order basically provides a little bit like Conflict of Heroes, a capacity to do one op fire.
Okay.
So if you really are very nervous, keep a few more.
Not many games do that. Not many games do that. Most games are you put somebody on Overwatch and then it's just a one and done, right?
Yeah, so
Interesting.
this is
Interesting.
order based.
Interesting.
There's a little action economy here, right? So
Yeah.
I read, I was a somewhat novice game designer, though I'd done a board game, and I was studying, and I read, because I didn't know, right? I read a lot. One of them was Sid
Mhm.
Meier's, of course,
Mhm.
civilization designer, and he said, he considered games to be a series of interesting decisions. And I thought really hard about what the hell defines an interesting decision. My background, as I said, is physiological psychology and animal stuff, which is if you look at animals, including us, we're very resource oriented, right? Which is, oh, I could get up back in our day, I could get up to change the channel on the TV, but it's too much energy. I don't want to spend all those action points to stand up and change the channel. But if you had a remote, you'd click the button. So my point here is I thought interesting decisions are where you don't have enough capacity you have
Yes.
fewer
You can't
resources.
do everything. It's the
Thank you.
heart of
Much better.
Oak. I don't know if you ever played Heart of Oak or
I did.
other. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Best damn Age of Sail ever.
Yeah.
Because it had limited resources.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Limited action points. And I always try to sit here and give you more things you wanted to do than you could. So like your young leaders, these are very good leaders, lots of orders. These are late war Germans, very experienced. But your cotton balers, remember that leader? 4 orders, 3 squads. If he wants to move up with him, he has to spend an order to move. He's done. So he might think, maybe I'll keep one of my squads back so I can do fire-based support with his unit. But that takes an order to bolster their shooting. Or maybe I really need to make this assault happen. I'm going to bolster and run the assault. But then I won't have the orders left to do the things I wanted to do with my other squad. So too few orders, too many things you want to do. Interesting decisions, I hope.
Absolutely. And this is not going to be a demonstration of any tactics whatsoever. we are showing feature sets only during this video. All right, so let's just move. Let's just start.
If you want to have fun and you're not being too serious, why don't you send a scout car forward to find out what's going on?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing, but hey, live and learn, die and learn too, right?
Yep.
All right. So, do I want to go all the way? So, all right. So let's just look. Some of the indicators, though, is I can move there. I can move there. I can move there. There is a certain. It's not. Generally speaking, the green is everywhere you could
White, green,
move.
White outline is everywhere you can move. Filled in color means you can see it.
So possibly just getting here would be, but I'm not saving. Okay, so again, I'm just going through my player mind. What
can I do? If you use an order to move, again,
right.
It's kind of like XCOM or something. It's all or nothing. In other words, you've got whatever is it? You have 5 movement points.
Okay.
You use any amount of those movement points, but it takes an order. So you can move 1 square, but it takes an order. So if you creep forward cautiously, so to speak, each one burns an order up. This unit's got 3 orders. So you've got 3 hectares.
I'm glad you said Radiohead's creep. All right.
Interesting decision, right? You probably want to creep forward and be very cautious and slow, but then you won't use your orders efficiently.
Right, so exactly. Yeah.
I'm nasty. My job is to be mean.
So you're a GM ultimately.
Exactly. Right? We were talking before it started. I started as a D&D GM back in the 70s. I like role playing, but I also like being mean to players. Oh, well, you want to go across that bridge where there are flames below it? How much do you want to go across?
Yeah. What was it? The Tomb of Horror? Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah, Tomb of Horror. Very good. Very good.
God, horrible. The old tournament.
You survived it, of course, right?
Scourge of the Slave Lords. Have you played that? The first one?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, that was a tournament level AD&D one. Yeah, look it up later.
Very good.
I think they.
How about the Giants trilogy and so forth?
Oh yeah.
All right.
All right, we can talk forever. All right, so Louis, I'm gonna play it medium. I'm gonna play it middle. I'm probably gonna make a mistake here. Let's go here. Let's see what happens.
So he spent an order. That was the dot going up. His leader spent an order. Reports come in. The Chateau Rainville is set with heavy stone walls and windows with excellent firing arcs. Naturally, the British have occupied the place. Certainly it would be folly if they did not. Judging from the Red Cross symbols on sheets hung from windows, some sort of medical establishment. However, armed men can be seen to walk around. Now you can start to feel right? Moral
The
decision making.
trepidation.
And
Do I make more holes?
right, but maybe
Okay.
that's not. This is a hospital, but maybe the British are in there. Or how, what kind of leader are you going to be? And it's not.
Okay.
I don't think there's an obvious right decision here. We ought to reduce assault and order advance. This is infantry work. Our panzers will support. They could fire a Piat, an anti-tank gun, from inside. So pick something.
I'm gonna go Piat because I think they are gonna
Okay.
do something like
A
that.
Piat is propelled by a mechanical spring. Bring forward the Piats for those of you who've seen Bridge Too Far. While lacking the range of a Panzer Schreck, it does have one advantage most weapons do not. It lacks a backblast and can be safely fired from inside structures. Well, the British never make it easy, Lieutenant Brown notes over the radio. No, they do not. Compared to Russia, this will be a walk in the park. Click the handset twice in the affirmative. Now, you notice this didn't pop till you went to a certain area of the map, right? Like ambush.
Yes. Yeah.
It's interactive.
One thing, I'm just looking at some of the other things here. Okay. I think I'm gonna compare it to Russia just because I just did just because I just did a Donbass 43 review.
All right. By the way, our audience is interestingly is about 25% wargamers, about 25 to 30% RPGers, another 30% who are like tactical XCommers, etc. And then we have sort of omni gamers. So what our shock was, it's a minority grognards, which made us really happy because my design ambition was to reach a broader audience. And we have people who play this and really want to pretend that they're the leader and what would they do, and they try to pick decisions they feel their character would, rather than what is optimal min-max. I grew up as what's called like a mastery player, a wargamer, right? Like, I wanted to min-max and win no matter what. But I've tried to teach myself in recent years, also when I was exposed to better D&Ders, right, to be a role player, right? Play this game to try to be a leader in World War II and put yourself in their boots on the ground to the extent you can. 3 clicks come over the radio, a modern take on an old superstition. The fighting in the East is hellish. Best not to speak of it again. Twin clicks of your handset ends the conversation. Uh-oh. That's not good. All right. You just... Oh! I definitely led you down the garden path there. So why don't you zoom in to the bottom left? But I would say 99.9% people, that happens to them. So there is a British, probably 6-pounder. It's in trenches. If you look carefully, right click on its portrait down below. I think you can right click right there. There you go. A little nice view. Nice. Yeah, they're not friendly. And they were hidden. There's a lot of fog of war in this game. So they were in trenches in the woods, I think, too, here. And so guess what? What a surprise you didn't spot them. You can do recon by fire. You shoot suspicious hexes like the chateau, but we weren't going to go over everything. And it didn't go well for your scouting car. Now you know where they are, but you've got a problem. Click on their hex.
This one right here?
No, click on the 6-pounder hex. And then zoom out a little bit. Okay, and maybe go right. All right, look. That's all the hexes where I wouldn't send a scout car right now.
All right, very good. Wait, really? You know what I would probably do normally is just...
Now you see the orange? That's another interface help. That's a threatened hex, meaning some enemy unit you are aware of can target that hex. That doesn't mean there aren't enemy hexes you aren't aware that can't target other hexes like we just said.
So based on what we actually see, we think that the range of that AT is that
quite large, right?
Okay.
I think actually I can give you help there. Go back and click the AT gun. Left click it. Now it got one button left. Look down at the very bottom. There's one button for you.
Right
click
here.
It. That's actually its field of fire. Scroll to the right. Yellow squares are. Yeah.
That's weird.
Okay. So it's got
just because that's just because of the altitude. I'm assuming.
The altitude and the shifts of the terrain and so forth.
Yeah, I like that. Very good.
So now you have things like machine guns. You have infantry can move forward. You have a tank if you dare risk it. You have artillery. So you can decide what are you going to do, or you can just try to avoid this bastard. So what are you going to do about it? And notice you've locked in at the top. You have the leader of your, maybe you really want to use your infantry right now, but you committed to the scout cars.
So at this point, I really might bring them up, but in a safe.
Or you could say, I don't want to do anything else. I'm going to pass for the leader round and wait for them to do things and then bring them up. I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll bring him up. See what happens.
You burned an order. He's active. He can do
but
another thing without charging the leader. But look at the leader. Leader up top has spent 2 orders now, right, out of his 5 to activate units. Luckily, he's a very strong leader. It's 5 orders. You can do a lot. But just,
But at that point, within 2 or 3, based on level of your leadership, you probably want to go ahead and just hand it over, right?
Well, it's really up to your leadership style and how you want to approach things, right? Do you want to press the attack?
Well, it's more risk or it's risk or war.
Yes,
it's risk.
But when you're playing the cotton balers early on, beginning players, very natural. You just suddenly realize, oh, I was running around with that squad and I didn't leave anything to activate my other guys, right? Or I meant to rally that guy and I didn't. So, ironically, mechanically, these 3 nation squad scenarios are easier mechanically to play, though harder to win. The cotton balers were harder to play because your units, you have fewer orders. They may fail their morale checks if they're green guys and don't want to do things. These guys are probably going to do what you want, though you may regret what you asked them to do.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Then, is there an easy way, I think visually, right, with the... So I would do this, and I'd look at my other guys like this.
Yep. You can also see them highlighted with lines around them.
Yeah, I think that's probably... I'm just trying to think as the new player. I'm just learning the interface. What am I seeing? But I want to point out that I do like the fact that you've given icons to each platoon. That's nice.
I will tell you that I thought I was a clever game designer. I'd studied what's called human-centered design. I thought, I'm going to be so good at this. You would not believe the number of design rounds with playtesting and went through to get the command and control stuff, like the thing on the left, relatively intuitive and clear. Oh my God. So that was horribly complicated to get right. I think it's most people like it now, but it was
I'm also getting used to the fact
but it's very hard to getting to look easy.
I'm getting used to the fact that it kind of like tab spaces in, not spaces but tabs, right? There's a whole joke. There's a joke behind that. If you're a programmer, you know that.
I do.
Tabs
I'm trying to be cool and not reveal my program.
Man. Okay. You've seen Silicon Valley though, right?
I am in Silicon Valley.
Oh, the show. I mean, HBO.
Oh no, I haven't actually.
Oh, okay. You need to go see that.
Okay, I should see that. Maybe it's too close to home.
Yes. By the way, yes, you'll have like flashbacks, but in a comedic way. Okay, so here's another thing I'll point out. As you do certain things, there is facing. Right. So like I was going to bring this guy up, but I don't necessarily want to reveal my flank here, but I am covered. How about I do want to get out of the way though? Doesn't make sense to put him in the woods. What the hell?
You don't think anybody sees you there, but we're going to find out.
We'll see.
And as you expect, vehicles, you were seen by somebody that no, actually the opposite. Zoom in on it. So the little eyeball coming in, and the fact you have eyeball means that you are no longer seen. It looks like you might have been seen where you were, but you are no longer seen. Move your mouse away for a moment. Eyeball is a little clear there. You can see it on the edge of the ribbon.
And what is that?
You think that no one sees you. That doesn't mean someone doesn't see you, but no known enemy sees you.
What about the turn wheel thing there?
That means you're in motion, just to remind you. So if you played...
I'm assuming a modifier.
Band of Brothers board game.
Yes.
He does a good job, and I cribbed from him on Jim Crone, and I talked to him some. The combat model, armor model, is basically, in World War II, stabilization platforms weren't that great, meaning you're not going to shoot well on the move. So,
or be hit.
So therefore, either you sit still and you shoot well, but now you're sitting duck, or you move, and then you're not such a sitting duck, but you can't shoot. Right. So there's a interesting decisions. Who do you want to be? You could do shoot and scoot. I'll stop. I'll take a shot and I'll run. I'll move over. I'll stop. But there's one more choice, which is called aimed fire. I was cribbing a little bit from Panzer, the board game, which is I'm going to devote all my action points to making a really nice shot and use up all my action points, all my orders. But of course, then I'm not in motion, right? Because I spent all my orders sitting still and taking a shot. You better make that shot because now you're sitting duck. So you're in motion right now. Your scout car, since he's not a big killer, might be good for him to stay in motion.
I'm just checking if I see. Now, if something had become visible, would there
Yes.
have been like would there have been a toast or anything to that
Normally, what
effect?
will happen is a little icon will float up, like we saw with the other guy,
Okay.
and you
Boom.
may get a fog of war sort of ghost, which you don't quite know what it is, but you know some kind of infantry, or you'll
Okay.
get an explicit reveal.
Okay.
Sometimes you will get shot, and you won't get the reveal.
Right.
From what I've read, real battlefields, the players were, I mean, real soldiers in World War II were shocked. There's a wonderful book called World Within War about the
Hmm.
psychological experience of war, and they said they saw the movies with the heroes running across the field, killing the Nazis on the other side. But in practice, they got on the battlefield and they'd see their compatriot get shot down, and they couldn't see where the shooting was coming from because, of
Hmm.
course, the enemy is not interested in revealing where the shooting is coming from. So we are probably kinder on fog of war than the real battlefield, but sometimes we won't show you where the shots came from, which is a bear. Then you're like, oh my God, where is that unit that just took me out?
All right. So my weird radar sense at this point though is what is there a way for me to recheck? I'm a kind of player. I like to know what I'm trying to do. Like
Mhm.
what was my commander's
Yes.
intent?
Okay, so
So
why don't you left click somewhere just to get off selecting this
yep.
unit?
Okay.
Okay, look bottom right.
Uh,
There's mission and men. Pick mission. Just click on it.
okay. There we go.
All right, so here,
Beautiful. Okay.
major defeat. This is
Ooh,
something that
I
we
like
didn't
this view
originally
too.
design. We got a lot of pressure from people like you, like give us some interfaces. So we put a lot of time into this. So major victory would be capture 4 of the objectives labeled are required. Minor would be 3, draw is 2. Minor is 1 right now. You have a major defeat because you haven't captured anything. And if you zoom in, you should see some arrows.
Oh, you can still view. You can still zoom. Very good.
Yes, and you can see fancy arrows trying to say, "Hey, dude, this is where
Mm,
you're going." Okay. Why don't you click again on the button to get out of that? The mission button.
okay.
Click
Very good.
the men below it. Remember, there are 2 victory conditions.
Okay.
All right. Right now, you have a major victory because nobody's died. Well, actually, that's not quite true. We had some armor card guys, but it's not too much yet. Right.
Uh-huh.
But when you go to 19% casualties, 28, you're going to get to draw with the men. Maybe it's time to say, I got one objective. I think
Like
I don't get any more.
so, no matter what, the men trumps the mission.
No, both matter, right? Like a real
Okay.
commander.
Okay.
But you
Okay.
might be sitting here at minor victory on objectives. You want to get a major and grab that last objective, but you see
Right.
that your draw on men or your minor on men, you realize if I go any
So
further and
it
I take any
combine.
more
It just
casualties,
it
I'm gonna go to draw on men.
it
So I'll get a
aggregates the
minor
two.
draw, right? So how you'd love to get majors in both. Guess what? Of course, it's hard to get a major men and a major mission victory. They're diametrically at each other's throats, right?
Right.
I want to capture all 6 objectives. Well, guess what? You're going to lose people.
Interesting. Interesting. Not many games do that, right?
None
Not
to
many.
our
Not
knowledge.
many games. Not that I've seen. Interesting. Very interesting. I do have a hard stop at about 5 minutes here because I got to go get my.
Yeah, maybe you
my
just want to ask me. One thing we didn't hit here, which I think is very important for players to hit, and this is a mechanized assault I didn't come across, is the combat model. You want me to
okay.
talk about bang, 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 you're dead?
All right.
Do you want me to talk about that or not?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
So what we do, which I think especially this audience will appreciate, is most games known to man are bang, 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 you're dead. Like XCOM, which I love XCOM. There's not attack in XCOM, but basically shoot the enemy, whatever, they die, right? And many, many war games are like that too. Even Squad Leader or something like that. If you think about it, what you do is you build a fire base, you hit it and hit it repeatedly till they break. You hit them again, they break, and that's it, right? Double break, they're dead, which is basically a way to kill them with firepower. Now, what I read, and we had an advisor who wrote a book, Brains and Bullets, was actually in World War II from small arms. It was like 25,000 to 40,000, depending who you want to believe, bullets expended per a casualty, not a KIA, a
Wow.
casualty, a wounding. Artillery are different. There are exceptions, but the kind of small arms, rifle squad firing. Why? Because Peter's standing over there and I shoot at him and he's near a stone wall. Peter's a brilliant guy. He's going to get down behind a stone wall. And now the bullets don't go through the stone wall, right? So people don't want to die. Those of you like Civil War, I mean, they laid on the ground in Fredericksburg outside the Confederate stone walls up at the top till
Yeah.
nightfall. If they're on a slope exposed, but if they lay there, it was pretty hard to kill them. So my point is, in our model is 4Fs. Find the enemy, like you just did, unfortunately. Fix them with fire, which will suppress them, which degrades their ability to fire back, their ability to do harm to you, makes their morale weak, degrades their action economy. Flank them ideally, because you get all kinds of bonuses if you flank, and finish them, which means assault. So enemy will sit there, you firing another problem we had teaching these weird mechanics was people would keep firing because every game teaches you to fire. But in World War II, yeah, maybe eventually you'll get them. And with artillery, maybe it'll be a different story. But small arms is going to take a long time. So what you do instead is you suppress them, you fix them until they're red, they're countering. And now you can probably cross that field safely because maybe they'll get a bullet or two off, but they're not going to do much because they're countering. They're trying to survive the bullet storm over them. And then they will make you make a morale check assault. They'll make a morale check like, do I want to stick around and get a bayonet in the stomach? Which is true even in Napoleonic times. They like, do I wait for the charge of this cavalry to reach me, or am I getting out of here now, right? And then they decide if they're surrendering or not. In World War II, apparently, mostly it was not melees. It was typically either retreat or surrender. We sort of overdo surrender so you don't have to chase enemies across the board. They're probably much more retreating than we do. But we worked hard on that model, which is a very different combat model than is typical in most games.
So the one I will throw a Barbara Walters moment to you.
Go for it. I'm ready to cry.
There was some criticism about, not criticism, but individuals had mentioned failed assaults.
Yes.
All right.
I'll give you statistics on that.
Go ahead.
So now it's very hard to get statistics on battle because guess what? People aren't lying around writing down data sheets. Nonetheless, from this guy who studied it, who again I was alluding to, The Brains and Bolts, now called War Games, his book, he says that it's something like this. Limited training soldiers, if ordered to an assault, at least in World War II, are about 40 or 50% chance they were going to do it. Now, that doesn't mean they'd say, fuck you, forgive my French, officer, I'm not going to do it. They were a little more subtle, like, okay, Lieutenant. And then, oh, gee, I stumbled and fell down on the way there. Oh, taking cover. What can you do about it? Because I'm out there, Lieutenant. Right? But I obviously tried to do what you wanted, Lieutenant. Right? I mean, there are many ways to not disobey an order and yet not really quite do it. So my point is 40, 50%. Now, if you had a trusted leader with you, went up to about 70%. If you had a really trusted guy, winners maybe is 80 to 90%. So if you take a raw squad and cotton balers and order assault, 50% chance. If you put the lieutenant with them, bolster them to up their morale, 70% chance. Now, if they get to 1 star, they get 10% added. If they get 2 star, 20% added. If they get 3 star, 30% added. If their leader is trusted, every heart adds 10% when he bolsters. And suddenly you have squads like these Germans here who will run across the field under heavy fire and do exactly what you order. And you may regret that they were so willing and didn't take cover because they ran 3 hexes taking fire from the unexpected machine gun nest the whole way. And now your excellent squad is cut to ribbons because they did what you ordered.
So again, I'll give you another Barbara Walters moment.
Please.
And this isn't just to throw you. This is just.
But it's frustrating.
Hopefully, alley-oop you to making a strong point. Is there was mention of needing to bolster, like certain commands ended up being always, if you will, right? How I
very very intelligent Steam critique, but I think I have you're not going to get me crying this one. So his point, which was intelligent, was in the last week or two, was, hey, seems like everything bolster makes it better. So why do you have a button? Because I would just bolster everything. Hey, 100%.
So be it.
Little problem.
But you can't move.
Economy. I gave you 4 orders and 3 squads. You ain't going to bolster everybody doing everything. So where are you going to spend that bolster? And maybe you should have spent it on a rally. And maybe you should have spent it on moving your leader to a better position.
Exactly.
Bolster's fabulous for everything.
In a best case situation, yes, sure.
You're a leader. You sure as hell should be making a difference to their firefighting and their morale.
But it was a good point.
It was a good point. Yeah. But I think in a boot camp, you don't see as much because we put you in little isolated things while you're taking 1 squad and you're bolstering. And so, I'll bolster everything. But suddenly when you're running a platoon, I wish I could bolster everything, but I can't. So how am I spending my orders?
So I hate to cut us off, but I gotta
No,
go
it's fine.
pick up my dog. He's gonna be very upset if I don't get him. This was incredible. This is very good. This is
My pleasure.
this is how I like to play all my games. So I invite the developer
Fun.
to show me how to play their games.
I'm glad you invited me. I love doing it.
Yeah, no, this is great conversation. I hope I had some. I hope I gave you the. I purposely didn't. I played it. I purposely didn't get too deep into it because I kind of wanted to show you what the person sees for that
No,
generally
that's very
first
helpful to
time.
me. As a game developer, you get to, so you know your game too well, and you can't see. That's why I did a lot of playtesting. You can't see anymore what people who don't know your game see.
So now I'm seeing better that there is a tabulation, there is a movement of the thing that's in focus, right? I didn't really pick up on that before visually for some reason. Like the leader is moved down, the active
Well,
unit is
there you go.
moved
See,
over.
we could
So
teach that, but then that's one more thing in the boot camp, right? At some point, we have to like.
right. But these are, it's learned. Well, what's interesting is I would argue for this game in particular that over time you are learning, you are gaining the experience.
That's right. Like
That not many games, most games you learn the rules, you're as good as you're ever going to be, generally speaking. But the nuances here are a little bit more, again, nuanced.
Well, if you go to our Discord, you'll see interesting discussions about people, their different leadership styles, what mindsets they use, and how they lead an assault or an attack, or they don't. Right? Honestly, I'll give you a cheat. Probably it's better if your leader stays back a lot to orchestrate things so he doesn't get suppressed, but that doesn't feel as heroic. But then you don't get cut down. You do need to get up there some, but really,
there are certain
command and control is core to succeeding in
certain orders. That person can't do. The commander can't.
Yes, that's deliberate too. You want that improved assault. Games, you are going to have to go up.
A lot of games don't differentiate what you're. A lot of games don't differentiate the things that you're accentuating, and I think it's a very, very, very good game.
Thank you.
I mean, I've had limited time with it. I will say that.
I will tell you that all the evidence is it will hook it. If you like it, then it's not for everyone. Then it will get its claws more and more to you as these guys cease to be sprites on the map. You don't give a damn about any of these pictures. Who the hell are these guys? But if it's Wilson and Dearborn and you've been playing through Morocco and Sicily, and now you're in southern France, you start to care. What made my day is when a playtester would say, I want to take that hill, and I didn't because I didn't want to lose Wilson.
That's cool. All right, that's cool. All right. Yeah, you won. I think you've won an audience with that. Very good. Luke, let me save the game, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish that scenario as an after action report. Yeah, exactly. So
very challenging.
Let me make sure I saved it. Yeah. All right. So quitting everything, getting out. There we go. All right. Burden
Remember,
of
you
command.
have artillery in it, by the way.
Well, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Remember, you have artillery. Your captain has artillery. And
I was going to ask you that. Where does that show?
So certain leaders will get it. Typically, your captain, if there is any, will get it, and then the weapon, whoever's running the weapons platoon.
Where does it show?
When you click the leader, there will be a button there that's a support button. Looks like a sort of explosion. And if it's active, you click it and you'll get your choices. You've got smoke, I think, and you've got normal HE.
All right, very good. Let me stop sharing if I am. Okay, no, we're good. Very good. Incredible talk. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to do it again at some point.
I love that.
Maybe we'll just whatever, in a couple months, we'll go through another mission and just kind of talk.
That'd be great. Then I see the hardened veteran.
Yeah, okay. We'll go with that. All right. See, we'll see.
Cotton balers eventually, though. That's the full experience, right? The tactical experience, what you're going to get here, but the full experience is engaging as a person with your men and leading them across Europe.
So, I have one more. I have one question.
Sure.
Where to next?
Well, we are working. I can't give things away, but here's what I can tell you: we are working on another campaign, full campaign. The DLC was isolated tactical scenarios. This will be, you take a core, you lead them across situations. I can also tell you it will not be U.S.
Okay. All right. Very good.
So we're actively working on it and playing through scenarios right now. And it will be quite different from the Cotton Balers.
Okay, interesting. So functionally or feature set wise,
Ah,
you're thinking
so
more. Are you thinking of going anywhere differently?
yeah, let me talk about that. So since Cotton Bailer was originally released, we've done two core things that are noticeable to the audience. One is we introduced Armor 2.0. So our original armor in base Cotton Bailers is a little thin, right? Because it was an infantry and we couldn't do everything we wanted. And the armor's modeled quite well in terms of armor values on particular positions, but it was no combat mission. And armor would whip around and whack you with incredible reaction for a self-propelled gun. Pretty strange. Armor 2.0 fixes a lot of that. If you're moving outside of the field of view of a self-propelled gun, you can get away with it. A tank may get you, but it's hard for it. Stuff like that. And a lot of fixes. The second thing we did was AI 2.0, which you see in and you can turn on AI 2.0 for cotton balers. It's a checkbox under the difficulty because we couldn't go back and fully playtest a 70-hour campaign with it. But it makes the AI much more aggressive, systematic in cotton balers, and the newer one will tend to stall out sometimes.
So buyer beware if you set it on for the other ones, right? Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
but I would recommend for cotton balers, turn it on because you can always withdraw, right? Or turn it
Okay.
off eventually if you don't like it.
Okay.
But it's a significantly better AI and it knows how to attack pretty well from what I'm being told now. Now, recent things where I want to go strategically is I want to get to modding tools, which I've been chafing at getting to since release, so that all clever people out there who know all their interesting situations, France 1940, Norway, etc., can do. I'd love to see what stories they would tell, right? Like our wonderful squad leader designers do their wonderful scenarios. I'd like to get those tools out for them to do it. So that's where I'm hoping to get this year, getting close to doing that. The modding
That's
tools.
good. That's a good timing. You kind of, you want to get your own stuff out there for a certain period of time before you workshop it up.
Well, I would love to have it out sooner, but I'm one coder at this point, so it's limits.
Do you feel like it would be workshop potential that you would not have a huge lift?
I think it'd be good for business, but I'm not doing it for business. I do it because I really would like to see. I truthfully,
Is it?
I'd like to see what they do.
Because quite honestly, that's a measure. That's a measure of community trust. Let's say, boop 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 boop. There's your stars for trust, right?
Hey, I've been playing board games since 1976. Okay, so I care about this field like any other. I care about history, and I care about
this point, especially what Burden of Command.
I'm committed, or should be committed.
Well, no, I think your community is too. At this point, they're committed too.
Right.
And it'll be very interesting to see where they go with it. Right.
Yeah, I really want
Winter War.
They're going to do a lot of things I didn't think of.
Right.
Or Starship Troopers. Who knows, right?
War. Yeah, we won't say Warhammer, but because we have to pay somebody a premium.
Well, there are some licensing issues.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well,
by
very
the way,
good.
the Menace sci-fi game.
Yes.
A lot of things akin to what we're doing. They have suppression model. They have some command and control.
Do you have interaction with their developers? I love that.
I do actually. I know them a little bit.
Have you played?
I knew back when they were Battle Brothers, and we talked sometimes. And I know they knew of my game. I'm not saying they took anything from me. They thought for themselves.
I just recently.
But it could be some crossfeed.
Literally today, I bought Stellar Tactics too. Have you tried that?
Oh, I know that designer for a long time. I knew him back when we were both getting started about the same time.
Have you played Master of Command?
Of course.
Yes. Okay. We'll talk.
In fact, Armchair Historian played Burden of Command on YouTube. And you can go find him playing a scenario about a year ago in his live streams. They're now canned.
Yes, that's right. He was the consultant with Master.
He's a designer.
Yeah.
For Master Command.
Do you know him? Because I wouldn't.
I know him personally.
Yeah, I would love to talk to him.
And he's a good guy. He did all the history stuff. He did Master Command, and he play tested for us.
Yep. All right.
If you want me to try and introduce you, I will eventually.
Oh yeah.
He's gotten bigger, right? He's bigger than me. So, but he's a good guy and he likes history.
Yeah, it's good it's competition, right?
But I can't promise anything. So
whatever. Yeah, no. If you like, I don't know why. I like the generative the generative games are the ones I've been going back to more. I've definitely been going back to Burden of Command in recent playing.
Oh, that's where I'd like to go further past modding would be Bach 2.0, Burden of Command 2.0 would be generative, like Steel and right, generate the map, generate the narrative.
Yes,
that's true, can be done,
and then some sort of
dynamic campaign, like
campaigns. But let people. Okay, we'll talk. We'll
And
talk.
then I can be much more brutal and kill your
Well,
leaders all the time.
but
Right?
workshop it so that people can introduce their own even rule sets, if you will, for a mini
Yeah, I'd love
campaign.
to
You
do all
know,
that kind
like,
of stuff.
oh yeah, all right, I'll talk. We'll talk. We'll talk.
And to his credit, Griffin, who did the Armchair Historian, who did his first game wasn't very successful. He learned a hell of a lot. He wrote a mea culpa video about all the things I learned doing that first one, and then he kicked it out of the park with his second one.
It's good. It grows on you. The
Mhm.
historian party is like
Yeah,
sandbox, and then
but
you're
it
just
was
like,
conscious. He was deliberately, he was
yes,
overt about that. So
I
good game design.
I learned to get past my quibbles.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah, the
yeah,
buttons, the color of the buttons. Well, actually, he got the color of the buttons very well. It's more of the,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying. Okay.
He made conscious decisions to
Yeah,
make it a successful game at
a
some cost
successful
to
game
history.
is,
But there's
hey,
nothing
you
wrong
want,
with that. I love Panzer General, and that's not exactly
no,
historically
exactly.
intensely
Or even,
accurate.
yeah, Panzer Corps
So
2, of course. All right. We'll talk again.
pleasure, Peter.
Have
Thank you for
a
your
good one.
time today.
Thank you. Let me stop. I do need, give me a
Bye
second.
bye. Good luck to your dog.
You too. Thank you.